Clark Neely. I'm Senior Vice President for Legal Studies at the Cato Institute. And I'm here today to talk to you about a right that is the only right that appears twice in the Constitution. It's mentioned in the body of the unamended Constitution, and it is mentioned again in the Bill of Rights. And what is that right? It's the right to a criminal jury trial. Do you think maybe it was an important right, and that's why it's the only one that's mentioned twice in the Constitution? I think so. And why is it so important? Well, when the government accuses somebody of a crime, the stakes are enormous, because only upon a conviction for a crime can the government punish a person, put them in jail, lock them up in a cage, take away their civil rights like the ability to vote for the rest of their life. And when you get a criminal conviction, of course, it becomes much more difficult to hold a job or to get housing. And we call all of these collateral consequences. So there's going to be the formal punishment, locking you up, and then there's going to be all of these additional consequences that you suffer as a result of having a criminal conviction. So it is a really big deal how we go about deciding whether somebody should be convicted of a crime. And guess who understood that? The people who wrote the Constitution understood it perfectly well. For example, if you look at the Bill of Rights, you will notice that more than half of the Bill of Rights is about criminal procedure. And most of that is about how to do a criminal jury trial. And this is the mechanism by which we decide who gets convicted and who gets acquitted. In other words, who is able to walk free, that's an acquittal, and who gets punished by being sent to prison. That's a conviction. And you know what is the very heart of a criminal jury? It's ordinary people like you and me serving on a jury and sitting in judgment of a fellow citizen. We don't have a dog in the fight. We're not part of the prosecution team. The government doesn't pay our salary the way the government pays the judge's salary. We don't have anything to do with this prosecution until we are brought into a courtroom to listen to the evidence and decide whether a person should be convicted of a crime or acquitted. And that is one of the most important decisions that we can make in our society. And one of the things that is so interesting about the Bill of Rights is the level of detail that we get about how to do a criminal jury trial. Well, two of the most important are this. It has to be a public trial. That means anybody who wants to can come into court and see the trial. So it's open and it's transparent. A criminal jury also must consist of a certain number of people. In most cases, that's 12 people. And they can only convict somebody if there is a unanimous verdict. That means all 12 people on that jury have to agree that the government has proved that case beyond a reasonable doubt, and therefore the person should be convicted of a crime. That's the only way that you can have a conviction in our system. All 12 of those jurors have to agree with each other that the government has proved its case beyond a reasonable doubt. And if that doesn't happen, then the defendant is entitled to walk free. There will be no conviction. So if you look at the way that all of these procedures operate together, what you see is how committed our system is to erring on the side of caution, of not allowing the government to convict somebody of a crime unless there really is no doubt about it. And this reflects a famous commitment in the law that it is better that 10 guilty men go free than one innocent man be convicted. And that's not just a saying for us. That is built into the absolute DNA of our Constitution. And that's really the genius of the American system. And what sets our way of doing things apart from so much of the world is that we err on the side of protecting individual liberty and making sure that the government can't convict somebody of a crime and lock them up in a cage unless there is no doubt that what they have done is a criminal act that deserves punishment. And that is the genius of the American criminal jury trial.